that I doubt knows that today is Wednesday. Anyway, here's another record for Joe. According to Quinnipiac, look at this. Joe Biden's approval rating is at an all-time low, 33%. His approval rating among independents is even lower, 25%. His poll numbers are so bad that even Democrats want to avoid appearing with Biden in public. For example, yesterday, Stacey Abrams completely blew him off, MIA. She had an important lunch reservation or some other scheduling conflict. She just couldn't make it across town to meet with the president and vice president of the United States, or as Joe calls Kamala, the president of the United States. But according to the chief propagandist, Jen Psaki, no one would ever avoid appearing with Joe Biden. Really? He's the most beloved, most competent president in the history of the United States. Okay, I don't know if it's an edible or they're smoking something. You decide.
As the midterms approach, there will be some Democrats, plausibly, who will want to stay away from the president for political reasons. What's his response to that sort of action?
I think we're talking about a hypothetical that doesn't yet exist.
In reality, Joe and Kamala are so toxic that in the Wall Street Journal, two lifelong Democratic strategists, this is how bad this is getting, they're now floating a new candidate for 2024. Guess who? Hillary Clinton. Now, when Hillary Clinton, frankly, one of the most unlikable people in the world, seems like a better option, it's pretty bad. So, you know, we will see if we get a rematch between Trump and Hillary. That would be interesting. Here with more is the brand new co-host of The Five. We're so proud of her, Judge Jeanine Pirro, along with former senior counselor to President Trump, Kellyanne Conway, both longtime friends. Great to have you. Judge, congratulations on a well-deserved promotion. And yes, I'll start with you. There's not, you know, when you put it all in the aggregate, then you look at the poll numbers, you know, the only way out for Joe, there is an answer. He can adopt Trump's policies on the economy, on energy, on the borders, his foreign policy, on judges, and pretty much every other one. But that's never going to happen, is it?
No, it's never going to happen. Look, this is all about smoke and mirrors. What they're telling us is that everything is great. Inflation really isn't as bad as you think it is. And by the way, you know, thank goodness for Pete Buttigieg, because as a result of him, he saved Christmas, and all of this nonsense that Americans know is not true, which is why he's being held in such low esteem. And the amazing part of all this is that it doesn't affect Biden at all. He is involved in a power grab. Everything that he wants, if you're against it, you're a racist. If you are not in favor of getting rid of the filibuster, then you are, without a doubt, someone who is against voting rights. When this guy talks out of both sides of his mouth, he was friends with George Wallace, and he gave a eulogy for Strom Thurmond. He voted for citizenship for Jefferson Davis. I mean, it just goes on. And the bottom line with him is the American people see through the charade. They don't buy it. They know that their dollar doesn't buy as much as it used to. It's that simple. And he doesn't have a chance in, or nor does Kamala in 2024.
Kellyanne, you're a well-respected pollster, political strategist. I don't see a way out for him, and I think the Democratic Party now knows it. And I would expect if this year unfolds the way I think it will be a good year for the Republican Party.
Yes, and you just saw Kevin McCarthy's group raise $72 million, a record number. And people are giving money because they actually have an agenda that they're going to run on. Look, these are not gaffes. Every single day they lie. They lie from the podium. The president lies. The vice president lies. Other people lie on their behalf. They just today put out a Bureau of Labor Statistics graph, Jeanine and Sean, that said Joe Biden's created more jobs than any other president in his first term, and everybody knows that's just not true. So put them aside for a moment, as these two very smart Democrats, Doug Schoen and Andrew Stein, have done. They are referring to Hillary Clinton in their op-ed as a, quote, change candidate. Think about that. Change. Hillary Clinton is a change candidate. 8 years ago, yes, 8 years, that's how bad Kamala and Joe are. 8 years ago, Hillary Clinton's campaign came up with 13 words you weren't allowed to say about Hillary Clinton. Inevitable, secretive, manipulative, out of touch. represents the past. This was 8 years ago. So, of course, she represents the past. But let me ask you a couple things about Hillary Clinton. What exactly qualifies her to be a three-time loser? You cannot run for president if people don't particularly like you and if you don't particularly like people. This is someone who called half of the country deplorables and irredeemable and waited for the approval. I'm ready for her. I was a campaign manager in 2016. When we beat her, I'm ready for this one. I'm ready for her, Sean and Janine. We did better among women in 2016 than they did in 2020, and we ran against the Queen Bee. This country is ready for a female president, just not that one, and certainly not Kamala Harris. And let me say something else. We have never had more women on both sides of the aisle involved in politics, including as candidates and office holders. And there are some very impressive women on the Democratic side and the Republican side. They're not Hillary Clinton. And let me say one last thing. It is so last century for a woman to be known for her husband. The new trend is for husbands to be known for their wives.
That was an epic takedown.
Well
I can't top that. If I spent a week writing that monologue, it wouldn't be that good. I'll give you the last word, Judge Pirro.
She's great. Look, and I agree, Kellyanne, you're fantastic. You always have been. But look, she is, if you'll recall, she is the most untrustworthy, unlikable candidate. But if they want to bring her back, terrific. We'll beat her again. But in the end, there are so many women who are qualified. Kellyanne is right. And the shame of it is the first female vice president she is a laughing stock. If she doesn't know how to handle herself, she is not a role model. And it's time, if we're going to put a woman in, we put a woman in who is strong, who's experienced, who's qualified, and who is respected.
All right. Congratulations again, Judge Kellyanne. Great to have you. And we appreciate you both being with us. When we come back, also